Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of Digital Painting Art Show. Today we're going to be painting Anger from the Inside Out movie. We're gonna be painting eyes and how to create a brush. So let's get started. Alright guys, so the first brush that we're going to use is a soft brush. It can be any circle brush but is round with a soft edge. And the original one that comes with Photoshop is this one. It comes without the other dynamics or transfer. So what we're going to do is just activate that and check that it has pen pressure on, and that's it. That way we can control the opacity with the pressure of the pen. Alright, so what we're going to do with this brush is just fill the base colors. I took the colors from a screenshot of the movie. I mean, like an advertising of the movie. It's really important that you have reference at one side. I have it in my second screen, and this what's going to do is I'm going to allow you to be more clear with your progress on how you do the lighting. I'm trying to imitate the direction of the lighting. It has the key light is coming from the right, and it has a backlight coming from the back left, and it's not completely dark, the ambient, because as you can see the left side of his face very clear. So right now what I'm doing is just using the same brush but really small, doing the little shadows between the skin and the eyes, if you can call it a skin. And yeah, it's basically just that. We're not using any other brush at this point, but what we're going to achieve with this is a really soft surface and transition between the light and shadows. That's what we want for this character, because it's really nice shaded, it's really soft, it's kind of like a puppet material or something like that. Also has a little bit of sparkle on, but that's going to be like at the end. So I just fast forward this process, but it's actually really easy. Here I create another layer to make the teeth, and I grab another colors. Of course the teeth are white, but the shadows are not gray and they are not black, they're actually kind of brown, and I wanted to concentrate on that. Also later we're going to do a little bit of the lights on the teeth. And the result is really good. I mean, it looks like a cartoony character, really good looking materials. But you really have to do this with a reference at one side, because it's kind of hard to achieve the same result, at least for the first time. If this is your second time doing this, it's going to be easier. But if it's the first time, it's going to be a lot hard to know where the shadows are going to be and everything. So you may want to have reference at the one side. Now what we're going to do in a few seconds is just erase all what's left at the edges of the colors, like whatever is outside the lines. That's why it's important to have it in another layer. So yeah, that's it. Just erase. I'm doing this with another brush, obviously, because the first one we used had a soft edge. This one just has a sharp edge. That's it. That's the only difference. But you can use any brush to erase. Now we're going to be using a circle brush that the only thing that it has activated is the other dynamics. I mean, these other ones I actually should be deactivated. They don't matter at all. But I'm going to use the other dynamics or transfer in the new Photoshops, and the thing is that it has to be put in pen pressure. but if you see the brush alone, is just a circle, so nothing special with it. That's the one that we're going to use now. So in this step, it's just really taking some of the colors that we already have. Like I'm using the red at the moment to putting a little bit of shadow in the eyes, mostly because of the reference that I'm looking at. It has the same kind of shadow going on in there, and it has sharp edges at some points, and I really need to capture that. So here I took some of the color of the dark part of the teeth because I needed more shadow between the skin and the eyes, and that's where I get the color from, the shadow, the really dark shadows of the teeth. And now I'm just putting a little bit of white on some of the teeth, so it looks like they pop out from each other, like actually real teeth. And a little bit of lines. Looking at the reference, it does has a little bit of lines on the teeth. I mean, just a little texture. Doesn't have to look like is damaged or anything or dirty. Just a little texture in there. So for the next part, I'm going to explain you a few things really quick. There are a few ways to do it. I'm going to do the eyes, but there's few ways to do it. The circles, I do them in different ways. One way is to do it with just a brush, taking a brush and doing one stroke like really big like this. That's one way that I do circles. Other way is taking the shape tool and using a circle and then pressing shift, you can have an even both vertical and horizontal circle, but it's a shape, so you may want to transform that into image, a normal image. And the way I do it, I know there's different ways to do it. The way I do it is just I create a layer under and then Control E to make it part of that layer. Another thing that you have to know for the next step is the blur filter, and we can do that going to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and that way you can just blur your circle really easy. So if you duplicate the layer here, you can get more intensity on that, and that's actually all that you need to know for the next step that we want to do. Okay, so this part I made it kind of slower so you guys can see what I actually did. So I first create a shape. There are a few ways to do this, of course, and then I just copy the layer. This one I made it gray, then I just copied it, duplicate the layer, and then what I do is just make it darker with the image adjustments, hue and saturation. Then I just copied it again because I need an in between the gray and the black, and go to filter, blur, and make it soft, you know, as you saw before in the examples. And I had to copy it so I get more intensity on that. And now we're going to try out some colors. I was looking at the reference in my other screen, so I need a brown, light brown, and I need another brown, but it's kind of lighter, so that's what we're going to look for. So remember that you have to put I copy it again to make it more intensity, and you have to go and put colorize so you can color the thing. Well, tuning up those options, I got the color. Then I have to copy the black circle again and make it blur because there was this little soft ring after the black part of the eye. And of course, I'm telling you all this like I actually knew how to do this, but I was actually learning at the same time that I was doing it. So now what I explain is kind of weird. But then I have all these colors going on, and what I'm doing is I'm going to use this information So now what I need to put a dark ring on the eye, so I just selected the bigger circle, and with the soft brush that we used at the beginning, I just put some dark color around, but I don't do it like perfect because I need that kind of randomness. And I also noticed that there was a little bit of dark soft ring also outside the circle of the eye, and then they have this little I wanted to put some soft changes on the colors of the eye, because I wanted to have a base. So now we're going to use the second brush that we use in this tutorial, and just making some lines kind of like coming from the center and going to outside. It's nothing weird at all doing this. So I just took the colors that I already had in there. As you can see, I just used the eyedropper and just making some lines. It's not rocket science here or anything, so just making some lines. Actually, what you do have to do is having everything in layers. I just collapse it because I already have everything that I need. So now I just copied it and make it really bright because I needed a transition from dark to light. So I just copied it, make it really bright, and now I'm erasing where I think the shadows will be. So now the layer that is under is the dark, and the layer that is up is the bright. Now I collapse it because I don't need to make any other changes, and I needed more brightness on the lower part, so I started to make some lines again. But again, I'm making these looking at reference. I'm not just making this up, because making this up, you can do it like when you have done this 10 or 20 times. But this was the first time with this character, so I just did it this way. And now I'm doing the same thing with the shadow part, these lines, but taking a dark color because I needed more dark in that part. So now what I'm going to do is just go to the, well, I did put a little bit more of blur on it because I noticed that the eyes are not really that defined. They are kind of like really soft, but it's really subtle, so it was kind of hard to take the decision to make it blurry on purpose. But anyway, when I put it little, it doesn't look blurry at all, so it doesn't matter. Now I just have to put it in there, like where it's going to be. Then a few moments later I have to replace them because they look like if they look weird. I have to move them a little bit more to the sides. And looking at the reference, the black part of the eye was a little bit bigger, so I have to make that. And I did it with the brush, just making with the brush a circle, a bigger circle, that is, and that's it. Of course, changing the opacity of the layer. I just trying to see where it was in the sketch, and that's it. It's like a try and error thing until you get it right. About the eyes, I think that's it. Yeah, using a little bit of light in there, using the white color, and it gives a really nice starting point for the eyes. So I really hope you like this technique for making eyes. Now we're going to be working with the smudge tool. After we erase this, we're going to be using the smudge tool with the, it could be with a soft brush, is the first one, it could be with the second one too. Right now I'm just erasing, there's nothing special about this. And with the smudge tool, what we're going to do is, if you look at the image in the internet, you know that the texture of this guy is really weird. It's like some kind of hair, but with some sparkles. It's really interesting material. So after so many tries, because I tried like 3 times, I kind of started with the edge, doing it by hand. Later for the middle I have to make a brush that we're going to see in a few seconds. But this part, for the edges, I prefer to do it by hand because it's more in control. So it's just using the smudge tool and then changing to B to use the normal brush. So it's using the R for the smudge tool, which is the finger in the icon, and then the B for the brush, and just doing little sticks going away like if you were painting hair. So now I'm just going to create a brush, and I got this old reference about how it should look. So I'm going to start by kind of just copying what I see. When I say copy, is like exactly that. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put a layer on top, and I'm going to grab some of the dots just using my own brush, and I'm just going to do that. I'm just going to draw on top of the reference little points where the points of the image are, kind of, and just to have an idea of what this brush should look like. And the edge, I need to know how the edge behaves in terms of the behavior of the brush, the material. So I just grab a little things going on outside, just put it right there. I hope this gives you any idea. Any of this is like prepared. I just was doing this and it just came out like naturally. Like, how will I do this? And I just trying to replicate all these little dots that I see on the reference. I'm actually looking more at the reference than my own brush at this point. But this is kind of the result of this. Now it looks like some of the parts are less has less definition, so I just put a little bit of blur in some of the parts of the brush, and that gave a really nice effect. And now I didn't want it to look like everything the same, so I just make some variations with the smudge tool, and then I erase it a little, because another thing that you shouldn't have in your brush is that it's this 100% the same. So I just did that too. I just copy, go to edit, define brush preset. So now I have my brush in the brushes, and I just take it and pressing F5 if I'm not mistaken, I just can change the options. You can actually go to window and brush too to change that. So the first thing is the scattering. We're going to open it a little bit like that, and the shape dynamics, I need to change the angle. So every time I'm painting, it changes the angle so it doesn't look repetitive. Another thing that we're going to do, I think that's it. I think the whole thing. Oh, the hue. I'm going to change it a little. Well, all of them are changes. You can see 2%, 3%, 4%, things like that. That changed the colors and the brightness on the brush while I'm painting. So if you got one color, it changes automatically to another color, but with a little bit of difference only, and that gives really nice effect. So having that, I just have to save the brush. So I just click in here and put whatever name I want. I just put an Insideout brush, and I can start to try replicate what I see on the reference. Okay, so now with the brush that we created, basically what we're going to do is just take the colors that we already have and kind of make like a base first. Here I'm using a new one, but because in the reference had like a little change from red to orange, and a little bit of lighter, kind of like a pink on the really bright parts. But I'm mostly, as you can see, I'm just applying some of the material with the brush, and then dimming down the layer, the opacity of the layer. You can do that with pressing H on the keyboard, and then with the numbers, because with the H you have the little hand that grabs the layer, and if you press the number you change the opacity of that layer. Or you can just go to the layers window there and dim down the opacity with the bar, that comes out when you click on it. But as you can see, it's kind of like a mix between using the brush we created and just painting like free by hand. I didn't want to make this video too long, so I didn't go so much detail on it. And in actually this step is more like try and fail, because it's really, I have to do it like 3 times to get it right. So it shouldn't take you at least some of that quantity of tries to get the materials right. So here I'm looking at the reference and see where I need more light. I put a little bit more of red, and I'm doing it by hand. I'm not using the brush we created. So the brush we created, the last one, actually just works to have a base for the material, because you need to really have control on it. And the only way to do it is just taking a little brush and just doing it by hand. Like, it's kind of like a boring process, but trust me that when I say that you learn more when you do it this way. You learn to create the texture with your own hand instead of relying only on the brushes. And that was really important, because doing it this way you can apply this knowledge in every program that you use, and not only in Photoshop, because when you use Photoshop with so many brushes, custom brushes, what happens is that it's kind of like if you work in another program, you won't be able to translate the same knowledge that you have unless you create a new brush in that new program. So right now I noticed that the original reference has a little bit of a sparkle, so I just put some bright spots in orange, little orange and a little white, so it looks a little bit more random. And then I have to dim down a little with the opacity. I have to take out some of the opacity because it looked too bright. So now it's a little bit more blend. And right now I'm just doing some finishing touches, like just taking with the eyedropper that you can use it with the letter I mean the I on the keyboard, and or if you're using the B for the brush, you can use the Alt to get the eyedropper. And I didn't like too much the lighting that's coming from the left, the backlight, so I changed it, and we're going to see that in a few seconds. Right now I'm just trying to get the lighting right on the face, because looking at the reference, it was looking kind of different, so I just copied the layer and put a little bit darker and another a little bit more brighter, and erasing where I wanted more light, same as we did a few seconds ago. No, it's really not that difficult to do. Now we're using the second brush here to put a little bit more light in the eye, and again, because I was looking at the reference and it looked this way, and at the end what we're going to do is we're going to change the lighting a bit. So I just took with the laser, just took it there and go to image adjustments and change the color to a blue. I wanted a blue color, then erase a little to make a soft transition in there. And I really like the contrast between the blue and the red, looks really good. So now it's just finishing touches, like I'm putting a little bit of dodge with the letter O on the keyboard. You can use the dodge tool, and in some parts that I want it to be more bright, I also putting a little bit more of blue with the pen, using the brush that we used at the beginning. And right now it's just adding these little details that is going to make your image look more polished, and it's all about that. Here I'm using the smudge tool to grab some of the colors that I had and pull them down to make the teeth look more textured. And what else? At some point here I copy the layer and make a blur, because I noticed in the frame of the movie here I'm adding some bright blue light with a linear dodge kind of layer. You should keep that in another layer, never collapse it. But what I was telling you, at some point here I copy the layer and do a blur of everything. Right here it is, because I noticed in the frame of the movie that it looks like this, like it's blurred. And of course I erased the blur on the teeth and on the eyes because I didn't want it to look like that in there, but here in everything else look like that, so that's why I'm doing it. And this is it. This is my character of Inside Out, Anger. I really hope you like it and you learn something from this tutorial. Remember to subscribe if you haven't, and watch my other videos for other tips and tricks on how can you do your paintings. Thank you. Alright guys, so this is it. This is the end of the tutorial. I really hope you like it. I also wanted to tell you about this material that I'm selling from some time ago. It's a guide of 20 pages with 2 videos of 1 hour each, explaining how to paint skin of the face, female face and a male face. It comes with all the skin tones that I use, all the line arts, all the textures, and of course the videos that are really well explained step by step. Kind of large, but I just wanted to explain everything like a formula, so you guys can understand how to do this step by step, and kind of like a recipe to achieve this kind of look on your characters. So there are 2 links in the description, one of Gumroad and one of Selfie. And you can get them there. The Gumroad is a normal payment with a credit card, or the Selfies for those who would only use PayPal and are only able to use PayPal. So that's it. You can click on the link in the description to get them either way, and I'll be really thankful for your donation to get this material. Thank you very much.